I'm too attractive, and guys naturally notice me, so I ended up cheating on my boyfriend and leaving him. The relationship with my affair partner turned abusive, though, so I tried to come back and fix things. I even told my ex that he shouldn't date anyone prettier than me because it wasn't my fault that men were drawn to me. When he refused to take me back, I completely lost control, got physical with him, and later accused him of abusing me even though it wasn't true. Now everything in my life has fallen apart. I'm a 29-year-old woman, and he walked away from 4 years together over what I still saw as a 6-month mistake. My ex-boyfriend's name is Ethan, and he's 31. We were together for nearly 4 years. Before anyone asks, yes, he really was a good boyfriend. I'm not trying to deny that at all. Ethan was dependable, loyal, thoughtful, and when we lived together, he covered almost every expense. He treated me with kindness and gave me a stable life. But sometimes, being a good person just doesn't feel like enough. That's the part people never seem willing to understand. Ethan was safe, reliable, and predictable, but he was also incredibly boring. He worked as an accountant, rotated between the same 3 clothing colors, went to bed early every night, and acted like going out twice a month was some crazy adventure. I'm attractive, outgoing, and I enjoy being noticed. I love nice restaurants, traveling, fashionable clothes, attention, and having fun. Ethan never actually stopped me from enjoying those things, but he never really shared that same excitement or energy with me. Then I met Mason. Mason was nothing like Ethan. He was confident, intense, handsome, and the kind of man everyone noticed the second he walked into a room. Being around him made me feel alive again. The way he flirted with me made me feel genuinely desired instead of simply appreciated. Looking back, I know I should have ended my relationship with Ethan before anything happened, but at the time it didn't feel that simple. Emotions get complicated, and attraction isn't always something you can control. It's not my fault that men are attracted to me. Yes, I cheated, and I'm not proud of that decision, but people talk as if every affair is some carefully planned act of cruelty. Sometimes you're in a relationship where you slowly start feeling invisible, and then someone enters your life and reminds you of the person you used to be. Mason made me feel beautiful and exciting again. Ethan made me feel like someone he simply kept around and took care of. So I left Ethan and chose Mason instead. Ethan was completely heartbroken. He actually cried, and honestly, the whole moment felt awkward for me. He asked me if there was another man, and I admitted there was because there didn't seem to be any point in lying anymore. The way he looked at me made it seem like I'd completely shattered him, and I remember thinking that he didn't need to make everything so dramatic. We weren't married. We didn't have children together. Couples break up all the time. I packed my things, moved out of Ethan's apartment, and moved in with Mason almost immediately. Looking back, I realize I rushed into it far too fast. For the first few months, Mason seemed like everything I'd been looking for. He was exciting, took me out all the time, posted pictures of us together online, and made me feel like other women were jealous. Honestly, I thought he was more attractive than Ethan, and I convinced myself I'd upgraded my life. Then reality caught up with me. I found out Mason had a child. He hadn't told me in the beginning. He claimed the situation was complicated and said he didn't want to scare me away before I had the chance to really know him. His daughter is 5 years old, and he pays child support every month. A large portion of his income goes toward that. On top of it, he was constantly dealing with drama involving his ex, and before long I found myself dragged into those problems too. Eventually, he also started acting strangely whenever money came up. Life with Ethan had never been like that. Ethan paid the rent, covered the utilities, bought most of the groceries, paid for dates, vacations, and basically everything else. My own paycheck was mine to spend on clothes, hair appointments, nails, nights out, or whatever else I wanted. He never made me feel guilty for liking expensive things. Sometimes he'd let out a sigh, but in the end he always paid anyway. Mason couldn't have been more different. He started saying things like, "We need to stick to a budget," or, "You can't keep spending like you're single if we're trying to build a future together." Suddenly he questioned why I kept ordering clothes online and complained whenever I wanted to go out for brunch. Then he started insisting that I needed to contribute more financially. He even told me my spending habits were immature. Seriously? I had walked away from a stable relationship to be with him, and now he expected me to live like some broke roommate instead of his partner. Money wasn't the only problem either. He had a temper. He became controlling about where I went, who I spent time with, and even what I wore. He told me that if I wanted to stay with him, I needed to stop acting like I was constantly putting myself on display. He hated certain pictures I posted online and complained whenever men left comments on my photos. Ironically, the exact qualities that had attracted him to me before we got together suddenly became things he criticized. After 6 months, I realized I'd made a huge mistake. It wasn't because Ethan was perfect, he definitely wasn't. He was plain. He was quiet. He didn't have Mason's excitement or charisma. But one thing became painfully obvious: Ethan loved me in a way Mason never truly did. Ethan accepted me for who I was. He trusted me. He never treated my appearance like it was some kind of threat. He never screamed at me over money or made me feel trapped because of financial obligations tied to a child and a past relationship he'd hidden from me. Eventually, I reached out. I sent Ethan a text asking if we could talk. He never replied. After waiting a full day, I sent another message explaining that I knew I'd hurt him, but that I'd learned a lot from everything that happened and wanted to apologize face to face. Still nothing. I tried calling him, but he didn't answer. Then I sent him a message on Instagram. He blocked me. I know I was the one who hurt him first, but I came back. Surely that had to mean something. People make mistakes. I made the wrong choice. I admitted it. I was ready to come back and try again. Isn't that what personal growth is supposed to look like? Eventually I decided texting wasn't enough, so I went to his apartment in person. When Ethan opened the door, he looked stunned. Not happy. Just shocked. I told him I'd missed him and admitted that Mason wasn't the man I'd believed he was. I explained that I'd realized Ethan had treated me better than anyone else ever had. I even suggested we could take things slowly if that made him more comfortable. He simply looked at me and said, "No." Just one word. No. I honestly thought he was overreacting, so I laughed a little and asked if he was really going to pretend he didn't miss me. He answered that he missed the person he thought I was. Then he said that person had never actually existed. That hurt more than I expected. I pointed out that he wasn't dating anyone, so I couldn't understand why he was refusing. It wasn't like I was asking him to leave another woman for me. He was single. I was single. We had years of history together. People always said we looked great as a couple. His friends used to be jealous that he was with me. Honestly, I figured they'd probably be jealous all over again if we got back together. I know that sounds arrogant, but I honestly believe it's true. I'm more attractive than any woman Ethan has dated before, or probably ever will date. I'm not trying to sound conceited, I genuinely think I'm just being realistic. Ethan told me it was time for me to leave. I asked him if he was really willing to throw away 4 years together because of one 6-month mistake. Without missing a beat, he answered, "You threw away 4 years for 6 months." I told him he was twisting the situation. Then he warned me that if I contacted him again, he'd take whatever steps were necessary to make me stop. That felt incredibly extreme to me. I sat outside his apartment crying for quite a while, but he never opened the door again. Over the following weeks, I kept trying to reach him. When he blocked my number, I texted him from different ones. I sent emails. I stopped by his apartment building twice. I even sent him old pictures of us together. I wrote a long message explaining that Mason had lied to me and that I was stuck in a terrible situation. Ethan knew I didn't have much family to lean on. My parents had cut me out of their lives years earlier because they're controlling and judgmental, so I really didn't have anyone else. I honestly believed that would make him care. It didn't. The only thing he sent me was a single email that said, "Do not contact me again. Do not come to my home. Do not contact my friends. I am not responsible for the consequences of your choices." Reading that made me furious. So I went to the parking lot outside his workplace because I wanted him to say those words directly to my face. When he walked outside with one of his coworkers, I confronted him and asked why he was humiliating me like this. He told me to leave. When he tried to walk away, I grabbed his sleeve to stop him for a second, and he pulled away from me. I admit that I slapped his arm, and maybe even hit his chest once because I was emotional, but I did not attack him the way people keep describing it. I was overwhelmed with emotion. He treated me like I was a complete stranger. Security showed up, then the police arrived, and I ended up sitting in custody for several hours. Do you have any idea how humiliating that feels? Sitting there like a criminal simply because the man who once claimed he loved me couldn't handle one emotional conversation. The officers warned me not to contact him again. Ethan also started some kind of legal process against me. I don't even know the proper legal terms, and honestly, I think he exaggerated everything. He made me sound like some obsessed, dangerous person. A few weeks later, Ethan petitioned the court for a protective order. We had a hearing, and the judge granted it. I honestly thought everyone was overreacting, but legally I was no longer allowed to contact him in any way. I was in love. After all of that, everything in my life completely unraveled. Mason and I officially broke up because he called me embarrassing and said he didn't want to date a woman who was chasing another man. The irony is that he felt entitled to judge me after hiding the fact that he had a child and trying to control how I spent my own money. I also lost my living situation because the lease was in Mason's name. After that, I had no choice but to stay on friends' couches for a while. My parents still refused to help me, and my so-called friends disappeared the moment I actually needed them. They loved having me around when I was buying drinks, bringing excitement, or attracting attention. The second I needed a place to sleep, suddenly everyone discovered they had boundaries. I honestly don't understand how people can give up on someone so easily. Yes, I cheated. Yes, I left Ethan. Yes, I tried to win him back. But I came back. Shouldn't that count for something? I admitted I was wrong. I humbled myself. I begged him. Do people realize how humiliating it is for someone like me to beg? I swallowed every bit of my pride, and even then he rejected me. I still don't understand what his problem is. He's never going to find someone prettier than me. There was a time when Ethan treated me like I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. Now he acts as if I'm garbage because I made one mistake and spent 6 months with another man. Sometimes it feels like he actually wanted me to suffer. Am I really wrong for believing he should have at least listened to what I had to say instead of acting like I'd destroyed his entire life? Anonymous commenter 1. You cheated on him. You left him. Then you realized your exciting upgrade came with child support payments, financial problems, and anger issues, so you crawled back to the dependable guy you treated like your backup plan. That's not love. That's buyer's remorse wearing lipstick. Anonymous commenter 2. He can't get someone prettier than me. Maybe not. But he can absolutely find someone loyal. That alone puts them miles ahead of you. Anonymous commenter 3. You keep repeating, I came back, like you're some lost princess returning to save the kingdom. You only came back because Mason turned out to be broke, controlling, and far less convenient than you expected. Ethan isn't foolish enough to become your emergency escape plan. Anonymous commenter 4. You didn't humble yourself. You repeatedly contacted him after he said no, showed up at his apartment, used multiple phone numbers after being blocked, went to his workplace, put your hands on him, and then complained when the police treated your behavior seriously. That's not romantic. That's how restraining orders usually begin. Write a reply. I wasn't stalking him. I only went to places where I knew I'd be able to find him because he refused to sit down and have an adult conversation with me. Everyone keeps overlooking the fact that he never gave me any closure. We spent 4 years together, and then he simply blocked me everywhere. That's cruel. And yes, I know I cheated. I know that. But I was unhappy. I was confused. Mason made me feel emotions I hadn't experienced in years. Am I supposed to spend the rest of my life apologizing because I followed my feelings? Ethan always told me his love was unconditional. Apparently, that wasn't true. Anonymous commenter 5. Unconditional love doesn't mean someone has to accept being cheated on, financially supporting you, watching you leave for another man, and then dealing with you showing up at their workplace after your new boyfriend's child support payments became your problem. Hope that clears things up. Anonymous commenter 6. You keep saying Ethan never gave you closure. He absolutely did. His closure was the word no. The real issue is that you didn't like the answer because it didn't come with forgiveness, another chance, and a free place to live. Anonymous commenter 7. You keep confusing physical beauty with personal value. Someone can be attractive and still be selfish, exhausting, entitled, cruel, broke, and legally problematic. Right now, you're checking every box on that list. Anonymous commenter 8. He isn't dating anyone, so what's his problem? His problem is that the last woman he dated treated him like a wallet that happened to have a heartbeat. Being single isn't an invitation for you to come back. Anonymous commenter 9. The funniest part of your story is how convinced you are that Ethan's friends would be jealous if you got back together. Ma'am, they're probably protecting him the way museum guards protect priceless artwork from someone carrying wet paint. Anonymous commenter 10. You're not alone because everyone abandoned you. You're alone because people eventually realized that helping you only meant getting blamed for whatever happened afterward. That's not abandonment. That's self-preservation. Follow up. I know almost everyone told me to leave Ethan alone. I really did try. For almost 3 weeks, I didn't contact him directly. I did check his social media using another account because I wanted to understand what was happening in his life. Since he'd blocked my main profile, which honestly felt unnecessary, I logged into a backup account instead. That isn't harassment. People check social media all the time. While looking through his profile, I noticed he had been tagged in a group photo at a restaurant. There was a woman sitting beside him. I don't even know if they were dating. Honestly, she wasn't especially pretty. She had that plain, wholesome nice girl look. Brown hair. A simple dress. Almost no makeup. The kind of woman who probably bakes banana bread on weekends and somehow turns wearing sunscreen into a personality trait. That's exactly the type of woman men pretend they want whenever they're angry at someone like me. Seeing that picture made me feel sick. Not because I was jealous. It bothered me because it looked like Ethan was trying to replace me with someone safe and predictable. So I messaged one of his friends and asked who she was. His friend immediately told me to leave Ethan alone. I explained that I only wanted to know if Ethan was okay because he'd been acting so cold and unlike himself. His response was simple. Ethan is fine. Stay away from him. After that conversation, I made a post online. At first, I didn't mention Ethan by name. I wrote about emotionally unavailable men who punish women for making mistakes and then play the victim when those same women genuinely try to make things right. Of course, some people figured out exactly who I was talking about. One of Ethan's friends commented, "Stop rewriting what happened." That made me furious. So I wrote an even longer post. This time I claimed that Ethan had also been controlling during our relationship. I said he used money to make me dependent on him. I wrote that he made me feel like I owed him affection because he paid the bills. I also said he was emotionally distant and made me feel trapped, and that those things were part of the reason I eventually left him. It wasn't completely made up. Ethan really did pay most of the household expenses. He liked knowing exactly where the money was going. And yes, there were times when he'd get irritated if I spent too much. Maybe I didn't think of it as abuse back then. but looking back, maybe it really was financial control. People are constantly telling women to recognize red flags. Why is it suddenly wrong when I do? Ethan ended up forwarding my post to his lawyer, or whoever was handling the protective order against me. Then I was contacted again and told to stop making posts that were clearly aimed at Ethan. It felt like people were trying to silence me instead of letting me tell my side of the story. At the same time, I was trying to keep my life together and hold down a job. For a while, I worked at a boutique. Eventually my manager fired me, saying I was late too often and that my personal drama was affecting customers. I didn't think that was fair because the customers actually liked me. People complimented my style all the time. After that, I got a job working the front desk at a salon. That job didn't last either. One day, one of Ethan's friends came in as a customer and made me feel incredibly uncomfortable. I told her she should be ashamed of supporting a man who throws women away, and apparently that was considered unprofessional. Meanwhile, the legal situation kept getting worse because Ethan documented absolutely everything. He saved screenshots. He kept records of calls. He saved messages. He collected my posts. He acted as if I were some dangerous person. At the hearing, the judge told me that loving someone didn't give me the right to contact them, demand an apology, expect access to them, or receive a response. I asked whether Ethan had any responsibility for how coldly he'd treated me through all of this. The judge answered with one word. No. Just like that. No. I wanted to scream. So apparently Mason could cheat me out of the truth, lie to me, trap me financially, Ethan could abandon me, block me, humiliate me, and somehow I was still the villain simply because I tried to fight for someone I loved. I walked out of the courthouse shaking. Ethan was there the entire time. He wouldn't even look at me. His sister stood beside him, staring at me as if I were garbage. Outside the courthouse, I told Ethan he was enjoying every second of this. I accused him of punishing me because his ego couldn't handle the fact that I'd left him. His sister stepped between us and told me to walk away. I looked at her and said, "You know he'll never find anyone better than me." She laughed. She actually laughed right in my face. Then she said, "He already did the moment you left." That was unbelievably cruel. For the record, I didn't touch anyone that day. I want to make that absolutely clear. I did yell, though. A couple of nearby police officers told me it was time to leave. One of them even said, "Ma'am, you're not helping yourself. Everyone keeps talking to me like I'm an idiot." I'm not stupid. I'm emotional. Since then, Ethan has moved to a different apartment. One of our mutual acquaintances mentioned it, saying Ethan didn't want me knowing where he lived anymore. He disappeared, and nobody will tell me where he lives now. Every one of his friends blocked me. His sister blocked me too. Even one of our mutual friends, the one I honestly believed was still on my side, finally told me she couldn't be involved anymore because, according to her, I was spiraling. I'm not spiraling. I'm being pushed into this. Anonymous commenter 11. You went 3 whole weeks without contacting him and somehow think that deserves a medal. Then you used a fake account to watch him online, contacted his friends, posted vague accusations, escalated those into public allegations, argued with him in court, and screamed outside the courthouse. That's not making progress. That's harassment with intermissions. Anonymous commenter 12. The judge told you no because no was the answer. No, you don't get to force contact. No, you don't get to demand closure. No, regret doesn't magically give you access to another person. And no, being attractive doesn't give you appeal rights after a breakup. Anonymous commenter 13. You saw a woman sitting next to Ethan and immediately criticized her appearance, personality, makeup, hobbies, and even imagined opinions about sunscreen. You don't even know this woman. Your jealousy boots up faster than most computers. Writer reply. I wasn't jealous of her. What upset me was seeing Ethan act as though I could be replaced. After everything we shared together, He was really going to sit there smiling beside some ordinary-looking girl. That felt disrespectful. And I never made false accusations. I described how the relationship felt from my perspective. Yes, Ethan paid for a lot of things. Yes, he sometimes made me feel guilty about spending money. Maybe he was kinder than Mason. That still doesn't mean he was perfect. People keep acting as though cheating automatically means I'm not allowed to have feelings about the way Ethan treated me too. Anonymous commenter 14. You're absolutely allowed to have feelings. What you're not allowed to do is use those feelings to blur reality. Funny how he paid my bills and sometimes questioned my spending suddenly transformed into financial abuse only after he refused to keep paying your bills. Convenient evolution. Anonymous commenter 15. Ethan actually moved to a different apartment because of you. Think about that for a second. A grown man changed where he lived because his cheating ex couldn't accept the word no. But please, keep telling us how you're the one being silenced. Anonymous commenter 16. You know he'll never get anyone better than me. Your ex's sister gave the perfect response. He upgraded the moment he got his piece back. Anonymous commenter 17. You're not being pushed. You're being stopped. Of course boundaries feel cruel to you. You've spent your entire life treating every boundary like a personal insult. Anonymous commenter 18. You keep bringing up how abusive Mason was, as if that somehow means Ethan owes you rescue. Mason being awful doesn't create an obligation for Ethan. You jumped off a safe boat onto a flashy jet ski that was already smoking, and then got angry when the boat kept sailing without you. Follow-up. This will probably be my last update because nothing in my life is getting any better, and honestly I'm exhausted from people using my posts as an excuse to bully me. It's been over a year since Ethan got the protective order, or whatever everyone wants to call it. I've followed almost all of the rules. I slipped up a few times, but nothing major. One time I emailed him because I found one of his old hoodies and thought he might want it back. Apparently that still counted as contacting him. Another time I commented on a mutual friend's post because Ethan happened to be in one of the photos. I didn't tag him. All I wrote was, some people are really good at pretending to be victims. That somehow became another issue too. Because I violated the protective order several times, Ethan's lawyer brought the matter back before the court. The judge was just as rude as before. She said the instructions I'd been given were perfectly clear and accused me of constantly testing the limits of the order. She even said my behavior showed a pattern of fixation. I told her I was honestly trying to move on, but people kept posting pictures of Ethan where I'd end up seeing them. She replied that other people's social media wasn't an invitation for me to get involved. People in the courtroom quietly laughed. I heard every bit of it. It was humiliating. Ethan officially has a girlfriend now. Her name is Chloe. I found out because someone showed me a picture of them together. I wasn't exactly searching for it. A friend of a friend had posted the photo, and I simply asked if I could see it because I wanted to know whether Ethan was actually serious about someone else. It turned out she was the same plain-looking woman I'd seen before. They looked genuinely happy together. I hated seeing that. Not because I wanted Ethan to be miserable. It just felt unfair. He got to move on with his life while I was still living with all the consequences. He still has his good reputation. He still has his friends. He still has a stable job. Now he has a new girlfriend too. Meanwhile, I'm the one dealing with court hearings, blocked accounts, unstable housing, and people acting like I've completely lost my mind. I haven't been able to hold on to a job either. I tried working retail again. That didn't last. I tried serving tables. It was too stressful. Then I tried another receptionist position. The manager eventually told me I had an attitude whenever I spoke with callers. Maybe I did. People can be incredibly rude. I'm just not the kind of person who's built to accept being treated like I'm beneath everyone else. A few months ago, I was arrested for shoplifting at a shopping mall. Before anyone jumps to conclusions, it wasn't some major criminal operation. I simply forgot to pay for a few things. I was under a lot of stress. I'd been moving from one friend's couch to another, and the friend I was staying with kept rushing me that day. Security completely blew the situation out of proportion. They acted like I'd been stealing luxury merchandise. It was just some makeup and a pair of sunglasses. One of the officers asked me if I understood why situations like this kept happening in my life. I answered, because people keep making my life harder. He just let out a long sigh. Like I was exhausting to deal with. That night, I ended up spending another night in custody. My friend Brianna came to pick me up after I was released, but she spent the entire drive home angry with me. She kept saying she couldn't keep rescuing me every time something went wrong. I told her that if she were really my friend, she wouldn't describe it as rescuing in the first place. She replied that friendship wasn't an unlimited emergency service. That really hurt to hear. I've been staying at Brianna's apartment for the last 2 months. It's a small place, and she acts like letting me sleep on her couch is some incredible sacrifice. I do help out. I make the apartment look nicer. I give her advice about what to wear. When she comes home from work, I'm there to talk to her. It's not like I contribute absolutely nothing. But last week we had another huge argument. She told me I needed to stop obsessing over Ethan and Chloe, get serious about finding a job, and start moving forward with my life. I told her she only sounded that way because she'd never experienced a man loving her the way Ethan once loved me. She looked at me and said Ethan didn't love me anymore and probably never would again. I completely lost my temper. I told her she should actually feel lucky I was staying there because at least I made her dull life more interesting. Then I said women like her always try to humble women like me because they can't stand seeing someone prettier getting attention. That was enough for her. She told me to get out. Just like that. After everything she'd supposedly done for me, she gave me 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. Everyone leaves eventually. My parents left. Ethan left. Mason lied to me and left too. Friends leave. Jobs disappear. Now even Brianna has given up on me. And I already know exactly what everyone is going to say. They'll tell me I brought all of this on myself. They'll say I'm the problem. They'll tell me I need therapy. They'll tell me I need accountability. They'll say I have to stop blaming everyone else. Fine. Maybe I am difficult. Maybe I've made mistakes. But I'm tired of being punished as though I'm the only person who's ever hurt someone. Ethan hurt me too when he refused to forgive me. Chloe hurt me by stepping into a place that used to belong to me. Brianna hurt me by pretending she cared before throwing me out. My parents hurt me by cutting me off instead of helping me become a better person. Everyone keeps calling me selfish, but who has ever truly loved me without conditions? Ethan did. At least he used to. That's exactly why I wanted him back. He loved me before everyone decided I was too much to deal with. I still believe he should have listened to me. I still think he could have stopped me from becoming the person I am now. Sometimes I honestly believe that if he'd taken me back when I first came to him, my life wouldn't have fallen apart like this. Instead, he chose to be cruel. Now I'm alone. And somehow everyone acts surprised that I'm angry. I don't even know where I'll go once Brianna makes me leave. I have no idea what comes next. But I do know one thing. I'm not a monster. I'm just someone that people keep giving up on. Maybe if people had stopped abandoning me, I wouldn't keep falling apart. Anonymous commenter 19. Ethan could have saved you. Saved you from what, exactly? From cheating? From stalking him? From making false public accusations? From violating court orders? From shoplifting? From insulting the friend who gave you a place to stay? Ethan escaped a burning circus, and you're angry he didn't run back inside carrying a bucket of water. Anonymous commenter 20. Chloe hurt me by stepping into a place that was mine. No. You gave up that place the moment you cheated and moved in with Mason. You don't get to abandon the throne and then accuse the next queen of trespassing. Anonymous commenter 21. You called the friend who gave you a couch boring and accused her of being jealous of your beauty while you were literally sleeping in her living room. That's not confidence. That's homelessness with an attitude. Anonymous commenter 22. The judge corrected you. The police officer sighed at you. Your ex moved to another apartment because of you. Your friend gave you a deadline to move out. Your parents cut you off. You keep losing jobs. At some point, if every room you enter smells like smoke, maybe check whether you're the one carrying the fire. Write a reply. You people love kicking someone who's already down. That's what's wrong with the internet. None of you see me as a real human being anymore. You focus on one mistake and decide I deserve every bad thing that's happened since. I never asked Mason to lie to me. I never asked Ethan to become so cold. I never asked my parents to abandon me. I never asked Brianna to act like she was better than me. I never asked Chloe to insert herself into my life. Yes, I made choices. But everyone else made choices too. Anonymous commenter 23. One mistake. You keep describing an entire collection of terrible decisions as though they were one event. Cheating was one mistake. Leaving Ethan was another. Harassing him afterward was another. Putting your hands on him was another. Making public accusations was another. Ignoring his boundaries was another. Shoplifting was another. Insulting Brianna after she housed you was another. At this point, your one mistake comes with chapters, appendices, and a streaming adaptation. Anonymous commenter 24. You weren't down. You were sitting in the hole you dug yourself while yelling at everyone else because they wouldn't redecorate it for you. Anonymous commenter 25. Ethan absolutely heard you out. He heard you cheat. He heard you leave him. He heard you come back after your exciting replacement relationship collapsed. He heard you call his refusal cruelty. Then, for the first time, he listened to himself instead of you. That was probably the smartest decision he ever made. Anonymous commenter 26. Your beauty isn't a retirement plan. It doesn't pay rent. It isn't an apology. It doesn't erase consequences. And it definitely isn't a reason for Ethan to welcome chaos back into his life. Hope that makes things clear. Anonymous commenter 27. You keep asking who loved you without conditions. Healthy adults don't give unlimited access to people who repeatedly hurt them. Unconditional love is something parents owe children. You're almost 30 years old, yet you still treat consequences as if they're abuse. Anonymous commenter 28. Chloe inserted herself. No. Chloe started dating a man who was single. You're the one who inserted yourself into his parking lot, his inbox, his workplace, his social media, his legal case, and probably his peace of mind. Let's keep the facts straight. Anonymous commenter 29. Brianna didn't abandon you. She gave you a couch. She gave you time. She gave you patience. She even gave you notice before asking you to leave. You repaid her with insults and speeches about how superior you are. She's not fake. She simply reached her limit. Anonymous commenter 30. The saddest part is that Ethan probably loved you more deeply than you ever realized. You spent that love the same way you spent his money. You cheated on it because it felt ordinary. Then, when Mason's relationship came with hidden costs, you tried to reclaim what you'd thrown away. Now you're shocked that the account has been permanently closed. Anonymous commenter 31. I still think he could have saved me from becoming this. No. This is who you became once there was no longer someone financing the image you had of yourself. Anonymous commenter 32. You're not a monster because you made one bad choice. You're a disaster because every single consequence feels like a personal attack to you, and your response is to burn down whatever room you're standing in. Ethan is finally free. Chloe isn't your enemy. Brianna isn't your caretaker. Your parents aren't your financial backup plan. The judge isn't bullying you. The police aren't jealous of you. For the first time in your life, you're simply facing the world without someone else paying the price for your decisions.